Right, we live. Hey, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Trust you all doing well. You're happy, you're smiling. Good morning, Mr. Lonwabo Fololo.
Good morning.
How are you, sir?
Awesome, thanks. And how are you, brother?
Good, man. Healthy and well. We're living long and strong. This side. How's it there by you? Where are you
Awesome.
logging in from?
Somewhere in Joburg.
Somewhere in
Gauteng.
Gauteng.
Yes.
He doesn't want to tell us where his house is, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm in Wakanda.
Wakanda. There where we all want to go to. Okay? But welcome. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate. We know you're a very busy man. Thank you for taking out your time. We're looking forward to learning, to sharing your knowledge, sharing your experience, and maybe taking some tips so we can follow in your footsteps.
Yo, I'm glad to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
So this is episode number 1, Lonwabo. So you're my first guest on the Leroy Slava show.
Woo!
So my first guest. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the Leroy Slava show. This is going to be a weekly show, right? Every Wednesday, 10 a.m., where we have conversations with entrepreneurs that inspire and experts to admire. Now, people were asking me, okay, I see we already got a few people on here. Okay, nice one. We'll greet you now, guys. Okay, but it's freezing. Why is it freezing on my phone? Can everyone see me? Let me know in the comment section if you can see us, if you can hear us. See on your side, Lonwabo? My phone froze.
Yeah, I can see.
Are we active?
Yes.
Okay, Nontando says yes. Okay, guys. Okay, there's. So the purpose of the show, as I said, conversations with entrepreneurs that inspire and experts to admire. And they said, Leroy, firstly, why do you call it the Leroy Slava show? I said, because I'm doing the show and my name is Leroy Slava. What else should I call it?
Yeah.
And what would you have called it? What would you call your show, Lonwabo?
The Lonwabo Fololo show. Simple.
See, guys, so you would have called it the Lonwabo Fololo show as well. So, and the purpose of the show is to educate, to inspire, and I think another thing is to share opportunities as well, because the world has changed. The world has changed dramatically in the last year or two. So as to bring on people that are successful, that are doing exciting things, to share their knowledge, share their experiences. So some of us can take some of that and go and apply it in our lives and see some of what they're experiencing in their lives, in our lives. And it's a bit of a selfish reason too, guys. I'm not just doing this to educate you guys I'm doing it because I want to connect with these people. You think I'm just going to do it to inspire you? Who does that? Hey, Lonwabo, it's a bit of selfish reasons as well, is to connect with Lonwabo and all these other guests, learn from them, connect with them, get their phone numbers so I can phone them Saturdays and hook up with them.
Yeah, no, that's great. Let's go for it.
Okay. So awesome. So guys, Lonwabo moved from PE, is original from PE, moved to Joburg, I think over December, right? The December period. He'll tell us more about why he moved from the sea to Johannesburg, which doesn't make sense if you think about it, but he's a weird guy, interesting man. He'll explain it to us. So we've got people on here, guys. Nontando, Rolanda. Guys, if I pronounce your name incorrect, forgive me. Okay. And we got the Fox Nation on here, Lonwabo. Zipo, Nompumelelo, we've got David. Welcome, guys. Guys, if you want to ask questions, we'll take your questions by the end of the interview. But I think let's get started. So Lonwabo, I think where I want to get started is give us a bit of a background of maybe a summarized background of where you're from, maybe where you come from, your school, tertiary to to basically how you got involved into property first, because he's actually a property investor. You're a property guy, and then you became a crypto guy, right?
Sure.
But wait. I didn't do the introduction. So, guys, Lonwabo, for those of you who do not know him, right? He's a husband of one wife. He's a father, guys. He's a property investor. He's a cryptocurrency enthusiast and a professional network marketer. And the exciting thing, and I've never actually, well, let me say never, but recently I haven't met anyone who's as driven and as focused as this man. So as I said, welcome. And we met. What got my interest as well is that last year, when everyone was struggling, people were losing their jobs, we were fighting with tenants to get our money, incomes went down. Him and his team were making millions. So on the worst year in history, I don't know, I can't say history, but in our time, in the worst year in our time, they made more money than what they've ever made before. And he said he bought, I'm going to say it, Lonwabo, I'll ask for forgiveness afterwards. He said he bought 8 million rand worth of properties cash last year. Now, guys, if that's not for me, I buy properties, right? And I can't buy properties cash. I use a lot of debt and stuff, but he bought it cash. So we want to find out how he did it and how they prospered and made so much money in the worst year of the century, I think. So Lonwabo, welcome again, and maybe just background, where you come from, and how you got into business, and maybe just the background of that.
Awesome. Right. So I was born in Port Elizabeth and grew up in Port Elizabeth in a family I'm the oldest, and so I spent a lot of my formative years with my grandmother. So I was always in between. I stayed with my I stayed with my mom and my stepdad and my siblings. But I spent more time with my grand. And so I studied in Motherwell and up until standard 5, and then from standard 5, my mother sent me to a school called Wool Hope Secondary. It's a mixed rate school. We had, the school is in a predominantly Indian area, right? The group areas, act, history, and stuff like that. Yeah, so, yeah. And that's where I went to high school. So there we had, we had Xhosas, we had Indians, we had Coloureds, so it was a mixed community, right? So, so yeah, that's where I went from high school. And throughout high school, I did not really have a goal. I was just going through the motions. So, and I've got different reasoning now that I'm older and wiser. I try to think back, why did I act this way? Why did I, behave this way? And there's so many reasons. But, throughout high school, I was always in the bottom half of the class, up until matric. In my matric year, I had guys who had, in my area and in my family who passed with distinctions, but yeah, they were in the location with us, drinking with us, So for me, I didn't really have motivation to, push myself. As a result, I failed my matric, failed my matric.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I failed my matric. And the following year, all my friends that, we were getting up to no good with in high school were no longer there. So I had to face my own life now. But guess what? I had other friends in my location, in my township, that I was getting up to no good with, So I just simply shifted. And up until 2001, something happened. A few things happened. My mother, is a born again Christian. She goes to the Assemblies of God. I used to go to church whenever I want new techies, I want to please my mother. So I would go to church a couple of Sundays. She would make a plan, buy me those techies, and then I won't go again. And so she then invited me to to like a tent crusade, right? And I went there. Long story short, I decided to change my life, and I gave my life to God, and I saw life very differently from that day on. So now I wanted to, I was thinking back and looking at all the years that I've wasted, because I know my potential. I know that I'm way much smarter than what I was acting throughout school, right? And I knew that, for me to change my life, I needed to get an education. That's how I understood it back then. So I moved from staying with my mom and my stepdad and my siblings, because major reason was I wanted to change my life, but then I was surrounded by everything that reminded me of the previous life, right? All my friends were there, and they didn't even take me seriously. They said, "Now we know you. You're gonna come back. This thing of you and the Bible and church is not gonna last long. You're gonna come back. We know you. You like to drink. You like to party." And I decided, let me rather move to my grand. And what's significant about that move is that, things were much worse, with my grandmother, living conditions, the area itself, right? And so, I sort of like took a downgrade, if you want to put it like that.
So your grand, so your grand was in Motherwell, or your?
Yes, my grand was in Motherwell, but in a different section.
Oh, so this is the same. Motherwell is it a big place?
Yeah, I think it's the 4th or 5th biggest township in the country.
Seriously?
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So yeah, so
no, it's fine. Go on. No. I wanted to say you moved from your grandmother to your mother.
No, I moved from my mother to my grandmother.
Your grandmother, yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's where, things were a bit shaky there. But I was so motivated because I wanted to change my life for me, but I also wanted to, change change the situation for my grandmother. And you said that you were going to ask where this entrepreneurship comes from. That's actually where it comes from. My grandmother, was a domestic worker, and so was my mother. And so my grandmother was sort of ill, right? She had to stop working, and she had very little money that she could get out of the job situation, because she was a domestic worker. Yeah. But then what she did with that money, she actually started selling something. She would buy something, right? I remember, she sold lots of things. I remember at some point she used to sell old clothes, old clearing that she would get from white people and sell in the township. This was before there was these big malls with Peps and what, So, and she sold old clothes. She sold, pot plants. She was very good with plants. She sold pillows, right? So she would do stuff with her hands and actually sell, or go and buy something and then, resell. So she's always been, the selling person. And I sort of subconsciously, that's where I picked up entrepreneurship. People always say to me, can we all be entrepreneurs? The answer is, it depends, right? People say we can't all be entrepreneurs. And I understand why they say that. But I guess it's because people think we have a choice. We have this illusion of choice right now that I can get a job, I can get educated, get a job, and live happily ever after, and have a nice white picket fence, and 2 dogs and whatever, But then we realize that the world is changing so rapidly that, if we don't get into entrepreneurship by inspiration, we'll actually get into entrepreneurship by desperation. Okay? Either way, we will be forced. If you go to Zimbabwe right now, how many people can actually get a job? For people to survive, they have to find something and sell something. They have to build something and sell something. They have to fix something, right? They have to make something. So, throughout Africa, it's just that we have this illusion of choice in South Africa, that way we think that, we can get a job and then things will live happily, things will work out and then we'll live happily ever after. So for me, I picked up entrepreneurship from my grand, and I love selling, I love entrepreneurship, I love business.
Yeah, we've noticed you are he's a salesman, he's a hard salesman. So that's a good thing you said there. You said if you don't get into entrepreneurship by inspiration, you get in by desperation.
Yeah.
Eh? You'll have to eat, and then you'll have to sell something. Eh?
Yeah.
And one thing when you say that is sometimes, especially young people as well. Look, I'm also young, and they look for a job, and they'll send out CVs and CVs and CVs for a year, for 2 years, for 3 years, and there won't be anything. And I'm saying, like you said, is to sell something, find something that is needed wherever you are, in a suburb, in a township, whatever there is, whether it be perfume, whether it be dishwasher or handy andies or Viennas or whatever it is, and sell it.
Yeah.
Right? So that's quite interesting there. But then how did you get to, because now you failed matric.
Yeah. What happened after that?
Hey, matric, you failed matric. How did that feel?
Look, see, people are good at pretending.
Mm.
You know, when I remember that the morning when the matric results came out, you know, look, I was babalas that morning and I didn't care, you know. But then when friends and family members, you know, were, you know, looking for my name throughout the paper and couldn't find it, you know, the feeling was devastating, you know. But then I sort of like, you know, acted as if I didn't care. But, you know, deep inside, you know, I did have this thing, you know, that, I messed up here. But, you know, luckily for me is that when I decided that I want to change my life, I went to Woolhope, right? So now I'm back in the township and I need to improve my language. I mean, my results. I went to 6 different high schools in Motherwell. All of them rejected me, or they said I must start at standard 9 because I didn't have isiXhosa. I had English and Afrikaans in my metric, and the combination of the subject, you know, was very different to what they had in the townships. But you know, they said you must start at standard 9, and I was like, yo, I'm late. I've wasted enough time. You know, I can't go to standard 9. But you know, throughout this journey, I was always, you know, sharing with my mom, and then she then spoke to someone in her church who said I must go and see her, because she said, you know, there's alternatives that people are not aware of, right? And then I went to see this lady. She said to me, look, if you get the N route, right? If you go to technical college and you do N1, N2, N3, and then you combine them with your metric languages, then that's equivalent to metric. That can give you access to university. And then, you know, luckily for me with my grand, it was just a street away from the library. And so I went in the library every single day doing research, you know, in terms of what I can do. I saw that there was electrical, there was civil, there was building, there was, you know, and then the streams that you know, one can then choose after going into university and so forth. So for me, I chose construction. You know, I wanted construction. And so I did my N1, N2, N3 in building and civil. But now here's an interesting story, which I think people, you know, people should know, is that the last time I did mathematics was in 1997. And now I'm doing my N1 only in 2003. This is now 5 years down the line.
Yeah.
I did not know what X plus X was, because I did very terrible in my mathematics back then. You know, I did not like the teacher. I did not like the subject, you know. So, but then now the stream that I wanted to follow needed me to have math and science. And I didn't have neither in high school. So I then taught myself mathematics. I took standard 6 books, standard 7 books. I took engineering maths N1 and the orientation book. And I practiced on my own for about 3 months.
Without a teacher?
Without any teacher. And so I did this, you know, with maths and science. Building drawing, I was okay because I love building drawing, you know, and I did, you know, at standard 7, you know, but, you know, it was not an issue. So when I got to N1, you know, the people that I was around with, you know, I was very loud about my dreams and my aspirations. I used to tell them that, guys, I cannot afford, I need a distinction because I need a bursary. At home, they don't have money for me to go to university. So I therefore need a distinction. So I don't have time to play. And people were saying, we've been here since last year, and university in college is gonna sober you up, you know. We all came with those dreams, you know. So they were sort of like, saying, cool it down, man. You are over the top, you know. But then I stuck to my gun. I stuck to my goal. I knew exactly what I wanted and how I had to get it. So I did my N1, N2, and 3, and then I passed. And then from there on, I went to, I applied at PE Tech and also Border Technical, now Walter Sisulu. PE Tech did not accept me, and I went to East London with Border Tech. They accepted me. And the funny thing is that throughout high school, I was always in the bottom half of my class. But in tertiary, in technical college and university, I was always in the top 5 in my class. Why? There was something that shifted in my mindset, in my attitude, you know, and in my belief in myself as well. You know, something shifted, and which obviously affected the results that I was getting.
Okay, are you there? Your line is breaking up slightly there, Lonwabo.
Yeah. So yeah, that's how I then got into university. And then from there on, I graduated with my national diploma, and then I worked for a construction support company called Task Construction Support Services. I worked 18 months there because in my view, I had a boss from hell. This guy, literally made my working life a living hell. And I decided to quit. And so because the reason why I quit is that when I was in varsity, I got and I got into network marketing for the first time for a brief, like 6-7 months or so. But through network marketing, I was introduced to people like Robert Kiyosaki. I started learning about personal finance, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the cash flow quadrant. I was introduced to people like Donald Trump. I read, The Art of the Deal, Think Like a Billionaire. And that's what sort of laid the foundation for me, one, in entrepreneurship, and number two, understanding real estate as an asset class that is perfect for wealth creation, And so when I started working, I was, the first thing I wanted, in my first year of working, by the end of the year, together with my wife, we bought our first property. The following year, we bought our second property. So, within that 18 months that I was working for a boss, I bought 2 properties, right? And
just hold on for me there quickly. I'm not sure, is it my line or if it's yours, but there's a bit of freezing happening. So you freezing for a while there. Guys, let us know can you hear us clearly? From your side, can you hear me? Can you hear Lonwabo? Just let us know in the comment section there, just so we know that you guys can hear us clearly. I think it's a bit delayed. But you were freezing for a while there, so I'm not sure if it's my side or your side. So you said you bought your first year of work. Okay. Luzoka says, yes, we can hear you clearly. Awesome. Thanks, guys. So your first year of working, what was your first job?
Okay, I was a junior construction support manager for a company called Task Construction Support Services. Yeah. This company was helping emerging contractors, with project management. And so they act as a facilitator between the contractor who were looking for finance and Nurture, who was the financier for emerging contractors. So we were sort of like the people in between to make sure that, one, the contractors are profitable, the contractors, the bill has been priced correctly, this guy is going to make money, will be able to pay back Nurture, and will also be able to make a profit at the end of the day. And then we'll take them by the hand and help them to run, their projects. And but I only worked 18 months there, and then I had to quit.
So you've only had a boss for 18 months of your life?
Yeah.
Okay, well done. and then you started your own business, which was the estate agency.
So before the estate agency, I had a construction company, right? And so we submitted. We were part of what I call a construction roster for the Nelson Mandela Bay municipality, and we got a letter of appointment. We were supposed to start with our 10 units, building RTP houses. The contract was supposed to go on for 3 years. And the first contract, I think it was about 800,000, but then there was going to be another one on successful completion of the first one, of which for us that was really not a problem. And so when I went back to PE, I went there to pursue that. But then I realized that when I got there, the municipality, there was a fight between the contractor, the contractors, the different forums, so they had to start the roster all over again. Remember, I've already quit my job. I'm already in PE. Yeah. And so in between that, I worked as a subcontractor, labor-only subcontractor. So where I was just, providing labor for our RTP houses. And first project went well. We were making a little bit of money. But, it was not real money because you acted like a conduit. Let me give an example. If you invoice something like, let's say, 90,000 Rand as an example, we never even got there, but let's say 90,000 Rand, you'll find that, probably 9,000 remains with you. The rest goes to the workers. So you're sort of acting, like as a conduit, and I had a business partner there. And so in between that, I quickly saw this was not working. And then I got into, I have a friend of mine, who's also a mentor, who introduced me to real estate. In fact, before that, I was always talking to him about real estate. I wanted to get into real estate. And this guy was with a company called Remax. So I got involved in Remax in late 2010. And then, 8 months down the line, I saw that, no, man, the amount of sales I was making here was quite a lot. And, and I was on a 50-50 split. And so I was like, you know what, let me look for alternatives here. And that's when I got into I inquired with the Rosin Properties, and I got a franchise for 150,000 Rand, even though they made me pay just only 50,000 Rand initially. And that's what got me started in the real estate business. So by August, September 2011, I had my own real estate company, Rosin Properties. And, I opened my first office in Motherwell.
Okay. Well done, mate. So going from failing matric to being in the top 5 in your class, then working for 18 months, buying your first 2 properties, and then starting your own real estate. Then I think I met you, was it 2016?
All right, so I think it was 2015.
15 or 16, right? This was in PE.
Yeah. Yes. By the way, yeah, you guys really opened up my eyes. You guys, I owe you guys a whole lot of gratitude. And because I did not know about Bitcoin, and I did not know, about gold and stuff like that. So when you guys came, and you spoke about gold, you spoke about property, you spoke about forex, you spoke about Bitcoin, and I was basically very inspired by your story. I mean, you shared your story there, how your life changed, and how you got into property. So I was quite inspired, man, and I knew that I wanted property and I wanted Bitcoin, and so yeah, that was 2015.
Look, I didn't talk about, but I heard about it the same time you heard about it. The other guys were talking about the gold and the Bitcoin. So, and I think I got involved. I don't remember that time Bitcoin, everything was a scam and no one knew what it was, basically. And I heard about it the same time you heard about it. And I think we got started. This is actually, guys, I don't know if this is we got started together. I didn't take it serious. He did. He went on to take this thing to levels which he'll tell you now. I think we're going to get into, and I missed out on the first 5 years. I made put in a couple of thousands. I made more than what I put in. I took it out. I bought a property. It's probably the most expensive property I've ever bought in my life, if I have to do the calculation now. And then you heard about Bitcoin, took it serious. Then what happened after that? After that workshop or presentation. Now you heard about Bitcoin. What does Lonwabo do now?
Right. So when I heard about Bitcoin in 2015, I was still running my real estate business, and but I got to a point whereby I was looking for an alternative because I saw it was not really going the direction I wanted it to go. So I heard about Bitcoin, but how those guys back then, they said you had to pay 5,000 rand for an additional course to come and learn about Bitcoin. And the course was only going to be in Cape Town, Joburg, and Durban. And I'm in PE. And I'm thinking I'm going to have to pay 5,000, plus I'm going to have to travel. I'm going to have to book accommodation. And possibly at the end of all of that, I will then need money for me to invest in Bitcoin, right? And I did not get involved in Bitcoin that particular time. But I started researching online. And back then, there was really no information regarding Bitcoin except for scams. I remember, the first platform, when I was researching for Bitcoin, I saw this opportunity with lots of promise, and I think it was called BTC Hourly, and I got involved there, and I put some money. It worked for a few days, and I could draw my Bitcoins out, put in more, and because I saw that it was working, I put in a lot more money. And I remember, my 14 days or so, and on the fourth, sorry,
how much did you lose?
I have no idea, but I think it was a couple of hundreds of dollars. Yeah. So, but then what happened was at the end of the term, I think it was 14 days. On the 14th day, I'm excited. I'm like, I'm gonna get 11 Bitcoins here and so forth. Guess what? The site is gone. So it's gone. I tried different devices trying to find out, hey, what's happening? The site was just gone, right? And so that was my first, taste, and that was not the only one. There has been.
Remember Bitcoin?
Yes, Bitcoin as well.
I lost about 20,000. This was bad, but this was now in 2015, eh?
Yeah, 2015, 2016. Yeah, early 2016. Yeah. So I mean, there was many other. There was Hash Ocean. There was Hash Flare. And I got involved in all of these things, and I lost money. But in 2016, that's when I listened to a 2-hour webinar. I was given a 2-hour webinar that taught me about Bitcoin. And the most important thing there that got me to want to get involved in this space on a much more full-time basis was I got to understand what Bitcoin is, why does it exist, what problem it's here to solve, how well it's solving that problem, and most importantly, how big is that problem. So when I saw that, and I saw lots of big corporations getting involved, I saw a lot of much richer, smarter people than me who were also endorsing and getting involved in the space. So I was like, you know what, this is way much bigger than I thought. And that's when it really stirred up the hunger in me and want to learn more. And the more I learned about it, is the more I wanted to get involved. So August 2016, that's when I got involved. And then in January 2017, I decided to go full time. I closed my real estate business to focus on full time promoting and educating about Bitcoin.
I think you need to stop there, Lonwabo. Stops. Let's stop there. You heard about it 2016. You got involved, and Bitcoin, obviously, it's mining. Lonwabo will explain us later how to make sure that you're into a reputable company, a trustworthy company, and you also explain to us what Bitcoin is and what makes it different from fiat currency, from your paper money, basically. But you 2016, you hear about it. 2017, you get involved and you leave. You close your business. You're a principal, I take it. So which means you've got agents under you. You close that whole operation. You've paid 50,000 rand for it. You close. No more. You're not continuing with it.
Yeah. So it's because for me, I realized that this was way bigger than what people think. I realized that, this has the potential to change the world. And I wanted to be part of that change, And I knew that I could get far more leverage on this business than any other business that I was part of, right? So, I decided to close my real estate business and I focused on this. And it's been the best financial decision I've ever made in my life. It literally changed my life forever. Now, what I did not tell you is that in 2016, when I was getting involved in Bitcoin, we decided to sell one property that we had in East London. Okay. Now, this property, we only bought it like late December 2009. So it, the bond was still quite high, but we got like 120,000 Rand profit from it. And we took the entire 120,000 Rand and we bought Bitcoins. This was late 2016. At the time, Bitcoin was around 9,000 Rand or so. Okay. And we bought Bitcoins.
With 120,000. How many Bitcoins were that? Did you buy Bitcoins or did you buy mining?
No. I was already involved in mining. Okay. I was already involved in mining. So I decided, instead of just buying more mining plans, let me rather, hedge against whatever may happen in mining and buy the actual Bitcoin. So I bought the actual Bitcoins as well.
120,000 worth of Bitcoin. Bitcoin was what? You saying 9,000?
Or 9,000, yeah.
Or 9,000. So it's about 12 Bitcoins. And what is Bitcoin today?
Bitcoin today is about 730,000.
Sure. So that would be about 6-7 million. What did you do? Do you still have those Bitcoins?
Do I still have those Bitcoins? I'm not sure. Maybe I have them.
Tell us where you live, so it's fine. We can't come get them. So you were basically a visionary. You saw things that we didn't see because I didn't see it. As I said, we heard about it together. I didn't follow through with it. When we spoke last year in August, I think it was August, July, then I only started. So I missed that whole 2015 till 2021. So I'm one of the. Let me know in the comment section if you also missed it. Hey, let me know in the comment section if you missed it and you're only getting started again now. But rather late than never. Hey, so you get full time in. Now I think Lonwabo, let's get into what is for people that don't know. And obviously I'm also not an expert, so I'm going to ask questions that I want to answer. What is Bitcoin? What makes it different from from the money that we know? From your paper money, your Mandelas, your dollars, your pounds, your euros. What makes Bitcoin different? Because a Bitcoin, you can't basically, it's not like I can go to an ATM and draw a Bitcoin, right? It's digital. So what makes it different between your money that we know?
Okay. So Robert Kiyosaki says there's three forms of money. There is one, God's money, which is gold, right? Whatever gold we get out of the ground, there's no way for a human being, science hasn't got there yet, where we can recreate gold. We can't take 1 gram of gold and duplicate it and make it 10 grams, right? It's God's money, right? Gold and silver. And then the second form of money is government's money, which is fiat currency. So when we talk about fiat, we're talking about a family of currencies like your rand, your dollar, your British pound, your Chinese yen, and. Those are government currencies. Those are fiat currencies. And then we come to cryptocurrencies, right? Cryptocurrencies, that's the people's currency, okay? So now what makes Bitcoin different from all these other currencies? There's quite a lot of things that makes it different. One, Bitcoin is the first ever global currency. It doesn't belong to any particular country. It's not owned or controlled by any government, any financial institution. It is truly the people's currency, the people's form of money. So that's one, right? It's a global currency. Number two, if you look at, Bitcoin cannot be censored. Right now, if I've got 5 billion rands, right, in my bank, and I want to send it to someone who is in Nigeria or even the UK, right? There's all sorts of hurdles I will have to go through. Even though it's my money, I have to get approval. I can't just send money, right? So there's all sorts of red tapes, right? Because of capital controls and so forth and so forth. So, it makes it difficult for me to move money as a global citizen as I would want to, okay? So even if I've got businesses outside of the country and there's money coming in or out, there's all sorts of regulations that control that, and there's all sorts of transaction fees associated with that. Now, Bitcoin is money that is peer-to-peer, meaning person to person. It therefore eliminates the need for a third party. So meaning I can send money right now to anyone, anywhere around the world without a need of a third party. And the beautiful thing is that nobody can stop that transaction. Nobody can censor that transaction, right? And I will save money on transaction fees. I will also save time, right? So those are the two things that makes Bitcoin very special. But the bigger thing that Bitcoin right now is actually getting even big institution getting involved is the fact that Bitcoin is deflationary. If you look at your rand buys you less and less over time. Now that's partly because of how money gets created. There is no limit to how many rands can be added into circulation. In fact, you and I, when we go to a bank and we borrow money, 1 million, 5 million, 10 million, to get a bond, whatever, we've just added money onto circulation, right? Through the commercial banks. So there's no limit to how much money can be added onto circulation. And the more money gets added onto circulation, the money you and I have been working hard for and saving, either in a retirement plan, either in a 32 days notice, fixed saving, or whatever the case is, you find that money loses buying power over time. Okay? The practical example would...
What you're saying, sorry, Lonwabo, just to stop you. So what you're saying is the more they print money, it's not that things are getting more expensive, is that the value of the money is getting less because there's so much of it out there.
Correct. That's correct. That's correct. So that is inflation. But then if you look at Bitcoin, so inflation is a product of how money gets created. And there's no one who can stop that. I remember the current governor of the Reserve Bank, Mr. Khanyago. This guy once said, in a live interview, this guy said, at the year 20-something, he gave a year, he said that a loaf of bread could easily be 100 rand. And but the question is, if one of the major mandates of the Reserve Bank is to do what is called inflation targeting, to make sure that our money does not lose buying power very rapidly, right? So the question is, if this guy knows that a loaf of bread at this point could be 100 rand, is there something he can do to stop it? Probably not. Why? Because the way money gets created is based on what is called fractional reserve banking system. There is no limit to how much money they can add onto circulation. Now, Bitcoin, on the other hand, happens to be deflationary. It buys you more and more over time because of how it's created, right? So the two, do exactly what they're doing based on the mechanics of how they're created. So now Bitcoin, there's a limit. There would only be 21 million Bitcoins to ever exist. That's number one. Number two, the monetary supply of Bitcoin is far more transparent than any other fiat currency system that exists today. We know there will only be 21 million Bitcoins. We know that today, every 10 minutes, there's 6.75 Bitcoins created, right? And or 6.25 Bitcoins created. Now, what's going to happen is that that will continue for the next about 3 years. And then after that, it's going to cut in half. So you could choose any date and say, by the year 2025, 25th of December, how many Bitcoins will be in existence? Someone can do the calculation for you. So there's 100% transparency in the money supply of Bitcoin. Whereas with the rand, it's murky waters. We don't know how much will be added when and how. Okay.
Lonwabo, just to stop you there, I see we've got over 50 people here. I think just to move a bit slower for them is to say that so with the fiat currency, the Reserve Bank can print as much as they want. So that's where inflation comes in. Currency goes, the value drops, things get more expensive. With Bitcoin, it's peer-to-peer. You can send it to me without a middleman, without a Standard Bank or a Netbank or an EPSA, whatever it is, and I can receive it. And you can send it internationally as well without going through the different channels. And with Bitcoin, with currency you can print as much, but with Bitcoin there's only 21 million Bitcoin that will ever be mined. We'll explain to them in a few minutes what mining, how do you mine it. So that you can mine, and the more people come into Bitcoin, so there's only 21 million, so the more people want it, but there's only so much available.
Yeah, and that's what causes the value to increase. Any commodity that's available in limited supply, but then you've got ever-growing demand, obviously the value of that particular commodity will always increase over time.
Sure. Interesting. And that tells me, let me just up now. Now I'm not gonna put it, but obviously it's happening now that there's 21 million. More people are finding out about it now. More people want it. Elon Musk put 1.4 billion. I read Apple wants to put 40 billion. Some bank wants to put. So the more they push in, then it could go. Where do you think Bitcoin could go? Quick prediction.
Okay. So let me start here before with excuse me, before the prediction. Let me start here. The reason why big corporations are now getting involved into Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
Number one, it's very difficult for them to get involved, right? Because of the regulations, right? That the corporate governance structures and so forth, because Bitcoin was really created for individuals, not for corporations, right? But there's no one who can stop corporations from getting involved, right? So they're getting involved because they realize that, with the crisis of the coronavirus and so forth, governments are printing money and it's as if it's going out of fashion. As a result, they know that at some point, we've got this balloon, which is fiat currencies, they keep on inflating it with money. At some point, that balloon has to burst. Now, they don't want to be in a position where, they've got over, hundreds of billions of dollars and nothing burst. And then, they end up losing all that money, right? Or it goes down in value. So that's why they're hedging against inflation, through Bitcoin. Okay. So the prediction, look at it this way. Bitcoin is competing for three markets right now. It's transactional currencies, it's your commodities, your gold, your silver, your platinum, and it's also your payment systems, your PayPal, your Western Union, your MoneyGram, your Mukuru, your Swift, and so forth. So those three markets, we were talking trillions here. Gold alone is worth over $8 trillion US. Okay, so the question is, what happens when Bitcoin, takes away, because it's performing far much better than gold, right? So people are bound to leave their gold and actually come into Bitcoin. So what happens when Bitcoin takes away 20 or 30% of the market cap of gold, meaning the value of Bitcoin will increase. Now, I'm not the one. I can tell you right now, Bitcoin will get to 1 million rand. I don't know when. Bitcoin will get to 2 million.
Be brave, Lonwabo. Give us a year, 2 years. Be brave. Tell us. What do you think?
Look, I think it's perfectly possible for Bitcoin to get to 1 million, within the next year or two. Perfectly possible.
Ladies and gentlemen, Lonwabo for Lolo, year or two. Look, I'm with you. I agree with you. I think it could go there as well. But now tell us, Lonwabo. Now Bitcoin started, but Bitcoin is now not the only cryptocurrency. Right? It's the first one, but it's not the only one, right? And I know there's ones that you are excited about, that you are involved. I also got involved. As I said, we spoke in August and said, listen, you're doing this, and this is what you're doing. And then I was like, wow. Look, guys, I'm not stupid. If people are making a lot of money in something and it makes sense, then I've got FOMO. I've got a little bit fear of losing out now. I've already lost out that first 5 years of the crypto thing. So now I said, no, I can't miss out on this next wave. So we spoke in August and told me what's happening. So I said, okay, no, it makes sense. And I got involved. What are the new currencies like? So Bitcoin is the big one, the first one. But then I know you guys focus on, we call it, is it altcoins?
Yeah, anything that's a cryptocurrency that's not Bitcoin is called an alternative coin, an altcoin for short.
Yeah. tell us about the other coins that you guys are busy and what they are and why they are also, why there's also huge opportunity in them.
See, the cryptocurrency space is a very interesting space right now. If you are in the cryptocurrency space, you would always wish that you can get involved on all the projects. There's over 6,000 cryptocurrencies that exist today. Okay, if it were up to me, I would get involved in probably maybe 50% of them, right? Especially the DeFi ones.
Yeah.
But let me tell you about the ones I'm particularly excited about, because I was there from inception, like when even before the coins were created, when it was still an idea. So I knew about it, back then. So it's Bitcoin Vault. Now, the first thing we need to learn about cryptocurrency is that, unlike the rand or the dollar, it exists for one purpose: to exchange goods and services, and to be, a measure of account. That's all fiat currency exists for. Now, cryptocurrencies are very different. They have different purposes, right? For Bitcoin, for example, yes, it can be used as a transactional currency. It can be used as a store of value, right? But then, if you look at Bitcoin Vault is based on the same technology as Bitcoin, same supply, same algorithm. The only difference is that with Bitcoin Vault, you have an anti-theft system, meaning if someone were to hack your Bitcoin Vault wallet, it steals your Bitcoin, you see this within 24 hours. You have the function where you can reverse the transaction, and the hacker walks away with nothing. Okay. Now, there is no other cryptocurrency today that exists that has got that functionality. So therefore, because of that, the potential for Bitcoin Vault is quite huge. The value right now is still quite low. It's at about $60 per coin, which is very, very good for anyone getting involved. Imagine getting involved in Bitcoin when Bitcoin was only $60. Where would you be today? You understand? Yeah. So that's the kind of thinking that I have, right? I understand the technology behind. I therefore understand, that the market dynamics of what it would take for it to get to where Bitcoin is, and is that a remote possibility? My bet is saying yes, that's a remote possibility. And then the second one is electric cash. Now, Bitcoin Vault focuses on security, but then electric cash focuses on fluidity. It focuses on, I should be able to buy, this bottle of water with electric cash. I should be able, paying little to no transaction fees, right? So that's where electric cash, it's aiming to be, a global payment solution for cryptocurrency, right? Because, and a frictionless one at that, because other cryptocurrencies, if you look at Ethereum right now, Ethereum is a little bit expensive right now when you're transacting with it, because there's just a lot happening within the Ethereum blockchain. So if you look at Bitcoin right now, it's expensive for small and micro payments. So meaning if I want to send someone $10, I might end up spending maybe, let's say, $5 or $7 in transaction fees, especially if I want the transaction to happen real fast. So now electric cash comes in to say, here is a solution to here is a global payment solution where now you could do the same transaction much faster, much cheaper, if not free. So those are the three currencies I'm particularly excited about: Bitcoin, Bitcoin Vault, electric cash.
Okay, guys. Bitcoin Vault, electric cash. We're gonna ask Lonwabo soon now. Okay, how do we get in? So let me just read, just to see if I understand it, and if the people understand it. So you're saying Bitcoin is the big one, right? You explained Bitcoin, but then you said Bitcoin Vault, right? The problem that it solves is that it has a third key which you can reverse a payment, which Bitcoin cannot do. Is that am I understanding it correctly?
That's correct.
So the reverses. So if I send it, or let's say if you send me a couple of Bitcoin, which I'll ask him offline after this to send me a few Bitcoin, you'd be able to reverse a transaction and pull your Bitcoin Vault back.
That's correct.
Bitcoin does not do that. And then you say, but you also you're saying with Bitcoin and Ethereum and the other, it's expensive. I can't basically go and buy a cup of coffee or something. It's just too expensive to buy a cup of coffee. So electric cash basically is a transfer. You can do payments, buy these posters and buy coffee, and you'll be able to do your daily things with electric cash.
Yeah.
Am I understanding it correctly?
Yeah. Yes, yes. See, when you're buying with the rand, right? When you go to a coffee shop and you pay for coffee, you don't worry about transaction fees and all of that because you know that they're relatively low, right? So electric cash is going to act exactly the same way, except it's a cryptocurrency. Okay, you won't have to worry about transaction fees and all of that. But this one is a cryptocurrency, and all cryptocurrencies, they've got one thing in common. They are notorious for growing in value over time. So even though it's meant for a payment system, as a payment solution, as a transactional currency, but it will grow in value over time. I mean, it listed at $8, and within few hours, it was trading at $29. I actually only bought at $29. Okay. And but now it's sitting at around $38, $36, and it's just only even, first few days, right? So we don't know where the coin will be in the next month, 2 months, in the next 3 years even.
Okay, it's interesting, guys. I don't know. I find this very interesting. Let me know in the comment section. As I said, our time is moving very quick. We're on 56 minutes now, guys. So I think, Lonwabo, we're talking about this. People are saying, okay, I've heard about cryptos. I wasn't too sure about it. I've got a better understanding. Thank you for sharing. Bitcoin, I know, right? These other two I'm hearing about now, which they sound good. How do I get involved? Where now? Leroy, Slava. I'm interested. I know that digital currency is the future. I want to get involved. I want to buy Bitcoin. I want to buy Bitcoin Vault. I want to buy electric cash. What do I do now? What's my next steps?
Okay, so the first step is get a little bit more understanding. We have Zoom calls. We've got videos on YouTube that you can watch where you can get a better understanding, right, of how this thing works. And over and above that, reading a book is not taking action, right? You can read a book on how to buy a property, but then, it's one thing to read about it in a book, but it's one thing to actually make the deal, right? Do your own due diligence and so forth. That's where the actual learning and the experience actually comes in. So you can watch all the videos, but then it's only when you are involved that you can basically learn, much more in terms of how this thing works. So what happens is you will talk to Leroy, right? Leroy will help you to get started. Now, there's with the company that I'm part of right now that gives me access and everyone else who wants to access to Bitcoin Vault, and electric cash in terms of mining. They've got packages where you can buy a plan for $600, and which is gonna give you a share of the coins that are mined for 1,100 days. Okay, that's the beauty, right? So I don't have to understand the technicalities and all the intricacies of what mining actually does. I don't have to worry about that machine having been broken or whatever. Mining still takes care of all of that. I just simply get a share of all the coins that are mined every single day for 1,100 days. So it's $600, 1,200, 2,400, 4,200. And the big boys like Leroy, you can get one for 12,600. It's called a platinum plan. So you can buy any of those plans, and and then you can then start collecting coins every single day for 1,100 days.
Okay, so guys, that's if you want to get involved, that's the Lonwabo gave it there. We'll tell you a little bit more in a few minutes. Now, Lonwabo, let's be honest, people have been a bit skeptical. As we said in the beginning, remember with BitKnock and them, there was a few scams and stuff. How do you make sure that you are in the right company, or you're in the right? How do you analyze whether this is the right place to be, whether it's legit, whether it's trustworthy, whether you can trust the companies? How do you do that? Because I know there's been I've spoken to a lot of people. We've been part of that as well. How do you make sure now in this day and age that you make the right decision, you choose the right company, you make sure that you go with the right people? How do you make sure
Cool.
about?
Now, that's always going to be a tricky one because human beings are human beings, okay? And behind these companies is human beings. But behavior is often repetitive, right? So I made a mistake, and last time, I got involved. I wouldn't really say it was a mistake, right? But it's something that that I've learned from. I got involved in a company, where there was question marks regarding the personal lifestyle and the personalities behind the company, right? But everything was working well. I mean, everything was working well, and people were making money, lives were being changed all over the world. 1.5 million people around the world were involved. But there was always red flags regarding the founders, right? And obviously we overlooked that because we're looking at the company without and it happened that things were not what we thought they were, and this is now after 5 years of the company being in operation, and it was a learning experience, and all learning experiences, very few of them are actually pleasant. Most learning experiences are not pleasant. So I learned from there. So now when I got involved into the company that I'm involved in, I did not sleep, bro. I did a lot of research on the guys behind the company, who they are, what have they done before. I remember when I was doing my research, I was looking for just one shred of negative something that I can say, okay, I'm walking away, And at the time, I couldn't find anything, right? And I spent a lot of money. I even went to see the CEOs, right, of these two companies. And one thing this guy said to me, he said, "Look, I've made a name for myself, right, and I've got a reputation in the industry, right, and there's no amount of money that you can give me that could, make me to tarnish my reputation." Okay, so for me, that was like, as far as values are concerned, I and him, as far as values are concerned, I'm with him. And then, but then over and above that, let's look at the company. Now, I looked at the company and, who it's associated with. It's associated with some of the big known brands in the cryptocurrency space, like your Bitcoin.com, and many others, right? So, and these are all the things that you have to look for, right? And it must be associated with, other well-known companies that are also in the cryptocurrency space that can vouch for that particular company, and so those are the things. And most importantly, companies do fail. Companies do fail sometimes because of micro issues, sometimes because of macro issues. Okay, so there is no one silver bullet in terms of doing your due diligence, right? But doing your due diligence, you must do, right? And look at who's behind the company. What are their credentials? What have they done before? And look at all the promises that the company has made. Have they actually fulfilled them? And find out the user experience of the guys who are involved in the company as well. So it's all this box that you need to tick. You can tick all of them. It does not mean that it's 100% bulletproof, right? So I always say I had someone say, if you're going to get involved in cryptocurrencies, get involved with money that, you won't hang yourself over if something happens, right? Because something can happen always, right? Irrespective of what industry, and this in property, it happens, right? You've done your due diligence, but something happens and then it changes the entire game. So having said that, do your due diligence, right? Do your due diligence and make sure that you watch the track record. Look at the credentials of the people behind the company. What have they accomplished, and so forth.
Okay, that's good. So basically, what you're saying there is do your research. Do your research. Do your own research. Don't take Lonwabo. Don't take my advice. Don't take Lonwabo's advice. Whatever I say, whatever he says, whatever anyone that comes on the show says in the next 20 years. do your own research, and then get involved with money that how did you say that? Get involved with
So I was quoting someone who says, get involved with money that if something happens to that money, you won't actually kill yourself over, right? So it's not your life saving. Don't go and cash your pension fund to get involved in cryptocurrencies, and especially on recommendation of someone else, right? So you have to get involved with money. If something happens and you lose the money, you won't kill yourself over. But at the very same time, understand what you're doing. Understand what you're doing.
Because obviously no one goes in with that. No one goes into something planning to lose money.
That's
so
yes.
So you want to do your research and you want to make sure that there's a bigger chance of making money than what there is of losing that money.
Yes. Let me tell you, when we started in 2016, remember Bitcoin was fairly new, right? A lot could happen. There were a few governments around the world who were a bit apprehensive around Bitcoin, but then the guy who taught me about Bitcoin, this guy said, look, there is a possible upside, there's a possible downside as well. Okay. This guy said, look, the possible upside is just way much bigger than the possible downside, right? So I make my decision based on the possible outside, knowing that there is a possible downside, but the chances of the downside are way much slimmer as compared to the possibility of the upside. Yeah.
No, good stuff. Thanks, Lonwabo. We've been going for 1 hour and 5 minutes. Time flies, eh? When you're learning, when you're having fun. I don't know, guys. Are you guys finding value in this? Okay, that's a plague that went past me. Are you guys finding value in this? Are you learning? Let us know in the comment section so we know. All right. And then Lonwabo, 2 things before we close it off there. Now I'm gonna bring it back to property. So you take your cryptocurrencies. Yes, we're meeting tomorrow, guys, at a few properties in where are we meeting? In Boksburg. Look at a couple of opportunities. But do you take your cryptocurrencies? So you got out of property into cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
And so you make money on the cryptocurrency side, and then you take that, or some obviously that's doing better than anything else, doing better than property as well. You take that and you buy, because last year you bought, as I said in the beginning, guys, you bought about 8 million of worth of properties cash. What is your plan? Tell us quickly. What is your plan for Lonwabo now? What are you going to do in the next year to, let's say, quick 5 with cryptocurrencies and property? Because those are the 2 things that you focus on.
Right. So my plan is to grow my property portfolio substantially, but I'm using the cash flow that I'm generating from the cryptocurrency business. Okay, and though I bought properties worth over 8 million, I'm still using leverage. Property is a leverage game. You know this much better than I. And so I'm using the cash flow from the cryptocurrency business for me to be able to leverage and grow my property portfolio. So my goal is to take my property portfolio to 100 million, and beyond. Okay, that's my goal. But and for that, I've got people like Leroy, and I've got other people as well that because see, growing wealth, creating wealth is a team sport. You can never do it alone. Impossible.
That's a good one. I think that's repeat that one again. Repeat that again. Say it twice, 3 times.
The creating wealth is a team sport. It's not an individual sport, right? Yes, you are doing it for your own personal reasons, your own personal goals, and so forth, but you depend on other people. If you were to spend your life learning all there is to learn, you would have no time to grow your property portfolio. But then if you leverage on what other people know and what other people have experienced, then you can grow your property or your wealth. You can grow your wealth because it applies to cryptocurrencies. It applies to everything. You can then grow your wealth much faster than if you are going at it solo. So that is why there has to be the meeting of the minds with people who are much smarter than you in that particular area. I'm paying for mentorship right now, for my property portfolio, even though I've been studying property since 2007. Okay. But there's people who are obviously been in this for full time, who know much more than me. So I'm therefore, working with them, to basically help me to leverage. And my biggest ambition right now is, I'm working with someone to realize this. I was blessed enough to be connected to this person. My biggest ambition is I want to be part of a group of people that are gonna bring real estate into the blockchain space, right? Where people who have, for historical reasons or whatever reasons, want to get into property but cannot because of either credit or either income, whatever the case is, right? So we want to give them a fair chance, right? So one, there is the network marketing business. You can get involved and grow your income. And if that's not your space, then you also want to get into property, but you don't have the income, right? To therefore, help you to leverage and to get into build your own property portfolio. You can then get into the tokenized real estate, right? And Leroy and I, we're gonna have a show on that in the future. And look out for that one, where we're talking about, the interaction between blockchain and real estate, where now you could buy a token. Maybe you can't afford a unit at the Maslow Hotel, or the Da Vinci Hotel, or the Raphael Hotel, but then you could probably buy a token, and if you've got so much tokens, that could also give you access to actually having a few nights in that particular hotel. So that's what we're going to talk about with Leroy, in the future. So Leroy, very simple. Mine, it's cryptocurrencies and it's property. For me, those two work very well together. We could go on and on why they work so well together. There's tax advantages here with property. Yeah. I mean, you could use other people's money, other people's everything, right? So it's just an amazing space to be in.
Lonwabo, I think you talked about tokens and property. Now I think that, guys, that is for we need to get you back in the next couple of weeks or whenever you're ready to come talk about that, because I think that's new to me as well. Tokenized property. Interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, so guys, stick around. Make sure you log in every Wednesday. Make sure you follow Lonwabo. We'll ask him now where you get a hold of him and how you get a hold of him. Last question before we close it. Right? What's your morning routine? What is your? I'm actually busy with a book now, The Miracle Morning, and this has been some of my challenges is to be so consistent. Sometimes I'm up at 4:30 in a gym. Sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I'm up. So what is your morning routine daily when you wake up? Maybe give us your morning routine and before you sleep. What do you do?
All right. So in the morning, I wake up, get ready, and take the kids to school, and then go to the gym. And then back from the gym, I then start my day. I normally have breakfast, and then I would start my meetings. Right. My first meeting normally is around 12 or 1. But in that time, I then look at my business. Being in the network marketing space, I do a lot of follow up. I do a lot of inviting people to Zoom session. Exposing people to the business. Educating people about the business. Whether I talk to them on the phone or whether I send them a video, and then I hear back from them. Clarifying one or two things. So I'm always so that's just my routine. And then from 1 o'clock, it's meeting after meeting, normally up until 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock. And then that's when I then prepare for the evening, and that is the Zoom session. So and then so what I also do, and I do this mostly when I'm in the shower. I do my daily affirmations, right? People look at successful people and they think that it's they have to do certain things for them to be successful. Yes, that is true. But then the bottom line is that there is a you have to become that person, right? Because there's a person. See, right now, if I say to you, I want to have a property portfolio worth 100 million, I have to grow. I'm not yet that person. I'm truly not. Okay, potentially yes, but then I have to grow myself to be that person mentally, spiritually, and then I will eventually get there, right? So my showers are a bit long because that's where I get to do my daily affirmations, right? That's where I get to create my life, create the life that I want. I will say things like, I'm so grateful, I'm so happy and grateful now that money comes to me in increasing quantities from multiple sources on a continuous basis. I will go on and on, talk about my dreams and my goals in the present tense. If for as an example, I'm not saying that's the goal. As an example, if I say, I want to earn 500,000 rand a month from my business, I will say things like, I'm so happy and grateful now that I earn $500,000, 500,000 rands a month in my business, and I would even put a date sometimes, right? And say by this particular date. So that's my routine, right?
So okay, so basically what you're saying is that start your day, but you have your affirmations where you start, like the Bible. You're a Christian, man. You said you were born again in 2000, and where it says, the Bible says, call those things that be not as though they are.
100%.
Oh, that's faith. That's faith, by the way, guys. So write that down. That's faith. And then it also says, as a man thinketh, so easy. So basically, that's what you're just putting those scriptures. So you need to think. So you have $1 million rand portfolio before you have it, before you can see it. Basically,
yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes, 100% correct.
Okay, no, that's perfect. Lonwabo, I've kept you for an hour and almost 20 minutes, but that's because you've got so much to share and you talk a lot about. So
I'm gonna invoice you for this 1 hour.
It was supposed to be 1 hour, but guys, I hope you found that valuable. I hope you learned. Lonwabo, where do we get a hold of you? How do we get a hold of you? Where do we get a hold of you?
Okay, you can follow me on social media, Facebook, Lonwabo Fololo, my name. I've got a YouTube channel, same Lonwabo Fololo. On Instagram, follow Lonwabo. That's where you can find me, and anything you want to maybe know more, you can inbox me either on Telegram, on Instagram, or on Facebook.
Okay, what I will do, guys, is I'll put his detail in the comment section for you as well. All right, put some of his handles. You send it to me, Lonwabo. You send it to me on WhatsApp, and then we'll put it in there for you.
Awesome.
But guys, so we've come to the end. This is our first episode, the Leroy Slava Show. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found value. I hope you learned something about cryptocurrency. We didn't talk much about property, but we'll talk about property at another time. So there's massive opportunity here, guys. So thank you for taking your time out. Thank you for spending this time with us. Thank you for learning. We had about over 60 people on our first one and many comments, guys. Maybe give me one question quickly, 1 minute. Put a question, the first question that comes in for Lonwabo. We're going to take that question and then we out. While we're waiting for that, next week, we're going to have Bernard Parker on here. Bernard Parker, striker for Kaizer Chiefs, legend. I think he's the second highest goal scorer for Bafana Bafana. He played in the Champions League. He played internationally. He's a businessman. So we're going to talk about a bit of the football side. We're going to talk about the Champions League, the international football, how that was, what drives him, what got him to that level. And then what we're also going to talk about, we're going to talk about his businesses, what he's doing now, and what the future holds for him. So Bernard Parker, next week, Wednesday, 10 a.m. It's not going to be live because he trains in the morning, I think, till about. So what we will do is we're going to do a recording and post it at 10 o'clock next week, Wednesday. So any questions? Last question. There's so many comments. Everyone just agrees with what you're saying, Lonwabo. Okay? There's no one. I think, guys, isn't that good? That's good if you're so clear and you explain things so well that everyone is clear on what they need to do. Another thing, if you want to get into, you're saying you want to get into the crypto side, then go DM, send an inbox, put your name, your number, and cryptocurrency, right? Want to get onto the property side of things, same thing. Inbox, your name, your number, and put property next to it, right? So if you want to invest with us at Slava Investments, or you want to get into the cryptocurrency side of things, name, surname, phone number, put crypto. If you want to get onto the property side of things, name, surname, contact number, and put property there, and then we can start communicating and see where we can help you and where we can work together on that. So I think that's good. So next week, same time, Bernard Parker. If you're a Chiefs fan, even if I'm a Pirate supporter, but if you're a Chiefs supporter or a Pirate supporter, whatever you want to learn how that man made it to the top of the football, our football here in South Africa and played internationally, then log in. And if you want to hear about his new businesses, he started new businesses, which he's excited about, and he'll share with you guys as well. So from my side, that is Lonwabo. Any last words? I think we've covered all of the questions here that I had for you. Any last words? Give us a last quote there. Give us a Lonwabo for Lolo ending. A quote there that we can go with till next week this time.
All right. So write your dreams in pencil. Write your dreams in pencil. That's my quote.
Lonwabo for Lolo, ladies and gentlemen. Write your dreams in pencil. There we go. Okay. Question: how do you use SARS to buy property? Okay, no, that's not today. Use that. I think that's a long question, and that needs another hour. So that will cover on another day. How do you maybe send that in? Rolanda Boyson says deep. Okay, so you deep, brother. Write your dreams in pencil. That's a deep one. Okay. Lonwabo, all the best. God bless you with your future plans. And now that you're in Joburg,
Thanks a lot, brother. See you tomorrow.
Cheers. Hey, bye, guys.
Cheers.
How do I don't log off Lonwabo? Let me end it from my side here. Let me first find out where do I end it. Okay, end broadcast.